All right, everyone. Welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast for Wednesday, April 5th, 2017. So today, very important day astrologically. We've got Saturn retrograde going station here today. Mars trining up to Pluto, very important aspect as well. And the moon going void, of course, before all this. So it's a lot going on. And what I would say is fundamentally with the astrology is that the structures are now going through a re-examination. So if since August of last year, if you felt like you've been building something, maybe with yourself, maybe with your outer reality or something like that, anything that does require structure, patience, and discipline that you've been perhaps building, this is all going through a re-examination now up until August of this year. So a good time now through August to reflect on some of these things, reconsider some of these structures we're building, and to be flexible and adaptive to see what new insight is coming to us through this reconsideration that we can then restructure with these things. So it's good to be malleable with the structures, with the long-term goals and things like that. And I think today maybe starting to see that things are shifting with where we thought we were building structures. We can continue to build structures, but there might be some changes needed there with the foundations. All right, so that's Saturn retrograde, but then Mars is trining up to Pluto, which is very supportive for taking action. We may be feeling like we want to make some changes, maybe some deep changes, maybe facing some fears. That's the Pluto side to it, and it can be very much what we feel like we need to do. It's very instinctual, very deep when it comes to Pluto and Mars in combination like this. But if you're feeling like making some changes, if you're feeling like, now is a time where you would have the courage or the confidence or the wherewithal to do it, it could be a very good part of the week to do that. Now, with that being said, the moon is void, of course, which typically means it's a good time to step back from the routine. So depending on your situation, with whatever it is you normally do on an everyday level, with the moon void, of course, if you can find the time, if you can find the space to step back from that and listen and really connect to the more spiritual dimensions of life to get the insight, to get the to receive what insight might be coming in at the moment during the void, of course. But at the very least, it's good to take that step back in whatever way you can. And if you can't, literally, if you're working or something like that, maybe you just bring in a bit of presence. And, you can feel it when the moon's void, of course, very spiritual. It helps us be very present. And it's through that we can gain that insight and really rest. And again, it's just taking that step back from what we normally do. So with that being said, the moon is in Cancer, which very much supports all of this. Actually, the sun's in Pisces, all this watery energy at the moment. Today, we could be feeling perhaps emotional, wanting to, not emotional, extreme emotions, just wanting to connect to life in an emotional way. Wanting emotional security, wanting to connect to our sentiments, and even have a bit of this reflective energy, maybe reflect on the past and things like that. So finding the space to do that. And again, Pisces, letting go, detaching of everything outside of our immediate control can help us find the peace and the intuition within that. So that's the day, a lot going on. Let's go ahead and break this down in more detail when we return. All right, so let's talk about the foundations here. The moon in Cancer. So the moon is our emotions. So today, emotionally, we could be feeling like, again, we want that security, maybe a bit of privacy. It often makes it good to maybe spend some time at home or with family. And again, a bit of privacy to maybe reflect on things from the past. But as I was saying yesterday, really just connect to our soul. Cancer is said to be the gateway of our soul. And so connecting to that and even connecting to our bodies and just getting into that reflective, intuitive, internal sort of state can help us feel nice and emotionally grounded and secure here today. So that's where we're feeling. And then our conscious energy is in the middle of the ocean in Pisces, which is all about letting go. So this has already been the major theme for the surrounding weeks. And so I think there's a lot we don't know about where we're headed. There is a bit of what we do with Mercury and Mars and Aries. But our focus, the actual environment, it just seems very nebulous and very dreamy perhaps at the moment. So it is good to detach, let go of everything outside of our control, which can help us find that peace and tranquility and even that intuition to then feel where we're going and get guidance, to where life is taking us, and then put energy into that direction. So speaking of energy though, even though this is very different, Pisces and then Aries, we've got Mercury and Mars in Aries, which is very much about taking action. So Mercury and Aries can actually help us understand more of what we want and how to get what we want. In fact, Mars has been helping us do that already for the past weeks. So there is on some level a bit of that. And I think the more we can figure out and think about what it is we want, where we want to put our energy, that could be a very supportive element. Now, as I said, Mars is trining Pluto, so it is an excellent part of the week for taking action, especially because Mars is in Aries, and this is a fire trine that we're talking about with Pluto in Sag. So let's talk about this. So going into tomorrow, as you can see, this Mars trine Pluto is happening quite late for most of us. And so generally for everyone, it's going to be today and tomorrow with this aspect. So what this essentially means is that, Mars is again the action, and then Pluto is everything that essentially, fundamentally, we're afraid of. All right. We want to hold on. We're attached. We have fears. And we always have fears, but Pluto is helping us strip away those fears. And it can be very easy to do that, in fact, in a trine. So we have a lot of support these 2 days to maybe make some deep changes that we feel like we may need to make. And we're very, we can have, again, the confidence, the motivation, the wherewithal to do that with Mars. Maybe remove some obstacles, take the action, take the initiative. So even though the moon's going to be void, of course, and as I said, it's good to take a step back, maybe there are some actions that aren't a part of the everyday routine that we can implement, we can make the changes with. Or maybe it's a day of really examining these actions, examining these changes we want to make, and then maybe feeling like we might want to take those steps tomorrow. Okay, so it could be either or, because again, there is that mix of energy. Usually void, of course, it's a good time not, they would typically say, like an astrologer would typically say, it's not a good time to take action, right? Especially routine action. But this is something that's much larger in scope, which may not be involved with your routine. So if that's the case, I would say it's a great day for making that change. And maybe it's an internal change, right? Maybe it's facing the fears and feeling the liberation of that, which then gives you the confidence and motivation to, just go about your life in a much freer way. And then maybe tomorrow, more externally. So yeah, that's the case. But listen to your inner guidance in terms of if you feel like it's a good time to take action or not. Now, Saturn retrograde is another very important thing. Saturn's slowing down. So with all of this, now there's this reconsideration about what it is we've been building since August of last year. And you can think back to that. What structures have you built? What foundations have you built? What have you been perhaps working hard on? Or what has been taking a lot of responsibility and patience and persistence and all that. And you can check your weekly too to see which house this is for you. But this is all these structures are now going through a re-examination. Okay, so it's good to be flexible with them, be adaptive, have a plan A, B, C, and D with them, right? See where things are shifting, because this is life shifting here. And we want to be in accordance with that instead of fighting with it. So it's good to, again, just kind of take a step back, re-examine those structures, and see what we can do, and this will come more so in the coming weeks, but we'll start to see a little bit more of what we can do to restructure these foundations, to remove some pillars, some foundations, all right? Because it's saying usually when Saturn's retrograde, it's kind of like the foundation needs some work, or whatever it is you've been building. So that's the day in a nutshell. I know it's a lot going on and a lot of even contradictory feeling kind of energy. So it's all going to depend mostly on your personal chart in terms of what is involved here with this. But my best advice would be this good time to take a step back from the routine. Examine where things are going in your life, particularly with your structures, long-term things, foundations. And in the process, seeing where you may feel like making some changes, deep changes, facing some fears to do that, and mustering up the confidence to make that happen. And that's really the theme of the lunar cycle as well. We're in the point of the lunar cycle where we do want to take action. We're in the first quarter phase, shifting into the gibbous phase going into tomorrow. So as we go into next week, there is more support, there is more momentum, there is more awareness building as we approach the full moon. All right, so that's the day in a nutshell in terms of the aspects. But again, you know, all of this watery energy. We have the sun in Pisces. There's a lot we don't know. And, you know, working on what we do have control over is great, but there's likely a lot we don't, and surrendering to that. With Cancer connecting to the emotional aspects of life, our sentiments, the past, reflective, that kind of energy. All right, so I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.